This is the Hype Squad with Charli McConnell, a podcast where women can be full of themselves and brag about what they're good at. Each week, we're going to bring you conversations covering topics like motherhood, life, relationships, business, and everything in between, because anything is possible with your very own Hype Squad. What's up, ladies? Welcome back to the Hype Squad. I'm Charli McConnell, your host, and today we're welcoming Nya Gordon. She is a licensed realtor, financial mentor, and entrepreneur dedicated to helping young adults build wealth through real estate and financial literacy. As the founder of Fine Finances and an advocate for generational success, she empowers others to take control of their futures with confidence and knowledge. Nya, welcome to the Hype Squad.
Hi.
Girl, I'm so excited to meet you and have this conversation. I'm so grateful you're here. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So I heard about Naya from my previous assistant, Jasmine. You actually came and spoke to her sorority about financial planning and budgeting, and she spoke so highly of you about how you held space for the group and you made everything so easy to understand, and she just spoke so highly, and I immediately said like, oh my, I have to have her on. Like, we this is such a great conversation to have. So I'm glad we're finally doing this. So I mentioned in your intro Fine Finances. So tell me a little bit about what this business is. What's your mission, so to speak?
Fine. I started Fine Finances. I think it's been 2 years. It may be three now. But I started after high school when I realized not a lot of people know about money or financial literacy. I was blessed enough to have a mom who was a credit repair agent in the real estate world, and she taught me these things. Like, I was an authorized user at 17, so I went into being 18 with a 750 credit score, and I realized that a lot of my peers who didn't get to go to college and everything, they didn't really have access to that information and the things that I feel like they needed to know to survive adulthood. So I wanted to create a safe space for my age group and anyone who wasn't blessed enough to learn. Like, you can learn how to manage your money. Let's learn these things together. Let's make it fun. Let me talk to you like you're my friend, and let's just break it down, because I feel like we all deserve to know these things and have access to those resources.
Girl, period. Like, that was that was just such a great explanation, and props to your mom, right? Like, I for bringing you along and teaching you all the things, and obviously she was a great teacher, and I'm sure that's probably where you got most of how you teach people. But I think from someone like myself who, and I'm not shy about admitting that, like, talking about money is really hard for me, and it's I'm not special. Like, that is a very common thing for your generation, my generation, like, just people. But I think specifically women in general tend to feel a little bit more uncomfortable talking about money. And it's a superpower. It's a superpower to know, when you have the means to do so, how to buy real estate, how to get investment property, how to plan for retirement or credit cards. Maybe you want to be like the points guy and figure out how to work all your credit cards and build up points. But where do you start?
Right.
But a 750 score, how old did you say you were?
18.
Holy moly. So that's another thing too. Like, I used to work at a bank, and I mentioned this before we start recording, which is comical to think back to because I don't know how I got that job or how I kept it. But we worked with, it was down at the beach in Panama City, and we had it was a Canadian based bank. We had a lot of snowbirds. And so one of the biggest topics that came up for them was building credit in the US
Okay.
and how to do that as like as adults, not even young people, but like retired generation. And so that was such a big topic then, and it made me very aware of building credit and how important it was. And if you don't know, you can really mess yourself up as
Yes.
a young person.
There's no worse feeling than going to get a car and hearing no, or wanting something and not having access to it. So that
Yes.
denial and that feeling, I know it sucks. So let's get you together so you don't ever have to feel like that again.
I love that. So, talk to me. Where are you? We talked about college and classes. Where are you in that season? Are you going back to school? Are you in school now?
I just finished my associate's degree in December. So I'll be
Congrats.
walking in May. Thank you. So I'm really kind of just in a season of figuring out. I want to make the right move. I always knew, let me go ahead and get my associate so I can always have a backup plan. But real estate has always been the goal for me. I've wanted to be in it since I watched my mom build her house. That's kind of what struck my motivation. So I've kind of just like, let's go full force. Let's be hard hitting. Like, let's give real estate my everything. And if I need to, if I need to go back, I will. I'm trying to pick what I want my major to be right now. So I'm kind of just in this hustle mindset right now of let me give real estate my all because I've been waiting so long to finally be able to do it. That's where I am right now.
Good for you. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Talk to me about like finishing with your associate's degree, regardless of whether you move forward with more degrees or not. In your experience with your associates in high school, how much did where was the education at as far as finances are concerned? Like, did you learn how to balance a checkbook and how to budget? Was any of that like core curriculum for you?
No.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where my inspiration came from. There was an extra class that you could take and you could choose between it and the only thing they taught you was how to write a check, but in terms of anything budgeting, credit, finances, they didn't teach us anything.
Wow. Wow. So I think that that's the norm. I think about when I was in high school, there was a program called DCT, and it was, God, I can't even tell you what it stood for, career or something. I don't remember. But it was the class where you took your career aptitude test. You had to start a checking account. You had to get your parents to go and like co-sign and balance a checkbook, write checks. So you had to actually use the account throughout the semester to like real life stuff. We built a resume. We created like a hard leather bound portfolio. And I remember thinking, like, this sucks and this is kind of boring, but okay, whatever, I'll go along with it. And then I saw how amazing that tool was, just the entire course in and of itself, and how that's not very common. Like a
Yeah,
lot of people don't, and I don't remember, it's been so long. My 20th anniversary is coming up this year, so it's been a minute. And I don't remember if it was an elective class or if it was something that we had to take. I don't remember, but I'm going to assume it was probably an elective.
I
And I
would.
think that's a big thing that is not covered. There's a lot of future things that I don't think are covered, and it's such a disservice to everyone that's in college, whether it's how to interview for a job, how to apply for a job, or how to budget.
Right.
Um, so what are I really want to talk about the program that you're operating right now, the budget boot camp. But before we dive into that, tell me some of like the most common things you're seeing across the board that people are struggling with.
Right now, I'm seeing people are dealing with low credit, of course. That's the biggest thing. But in terms of how budgeting goes, I think the biggest challenge is just the paycheck to paycheck. Like, people are struggling to have extra money rolling over into their next pay period. I think it's just having categories and just breaking things down. People are overspending and they don't really know where to start or how to categorize. I think that's pretty much what I'm seeing. They're like, okay, I make this much, these are my bills, but for some reason I only have 30 cents left before I
Hmm.
get paid, or sometimes not even that. So that's pretty much what I've been seeing and a lot of people are struggling with.
So what are some of the tips that you give? And I'm thinking of like stuff that I've gone through. Like I remember there were times in my life that I would do like the envelope with the cash and like, here's your budget for coffee, 20
Mm-hmm.
bucks in an envelope. When you're done with it, it's gone, right? I tried that tactic, didn't work, not for long. But like other little tips and tricks that you recommend for people to in those moments of how to conserve money or to realize how much they're spending, what are some things that you recommend?
It's funny you say that because I actually do the envelope now. I
Do
have a
you?
wallet. Yes, it is labeled,
I
monogrammed. It is
love it.
have categories and everything, and I have a coffee category, and it works for me just being able to break it down. But for some people, it doesn't, and that's okay.
Sure.
So, I would say a lot of the things I tell people first, let's break it down. You need to figure out, I tell people all the time, let's see what you're making. Add up your bills, add up your income first, then let's look at your bills, and we need to figure out, is your debt taking up 50% of your income? Is it taking up 70? So then we can start with the basic foundation. I'll teach people the 50-30-20 budget or the 70-20-10, where we break down your categories into needs, wants, and then savings or paying off any debt, so you can kind of have an outline, because there is nothing like a good budget sheet. I love those. They're so fun for me. But I tell people, okay, let's write out what you have to pay. Let's write out what you want to spend money on, and let's write out what you owe, and let's break it all down into a zero-based budget. And a lot of times I tell people, my biggest thing is, you can budget and save without feeling miserable. You can still go on your trips. You can still have a good time. One big thing for women, getting our hair done, our nails done. You can do all of the things. You just need to have a category for it. And instead of trying to pay for it out of your check you get, in 2 weeks, break it down into 3 months. Give yourself some time so you can put up small amounts, so it doesn't feel like such a big weight when that money is gone. It's like, oh, I only put $25 every checkup, and now I can go get everything I want to get done. So just showing people, you don't have to be struggling and looking down bad, as I like to say, to get what you want. Like, you can still keep it cute and keep it pretty and have a good time while budgeting. We do not have to be miserable and sad to save some money. You know what I mean?
Yes. Oh my God, yes. I think there's so much power if you can be comfortable with money, talking about money.
Yes.
Um, that's just such a a huge level of unlocking, if you will, of just I don't know, like the resistant, there's so much resistance when you're not comfortable talking about money, whether it's asking for a raise, like a
Right.
huge thing that comes up in my world with clients,
Mhm.
or telling someone no, I can't go there, and not feeling like not feeling terrible because you have to admit that you're on a budget and money's tight, and how do I say it, or I'm just going to like suffer through it knowing I don't have the money to spend. Is that something you see come up a lot with people you work with, like how to handle those conversations?
Yes, I've told people, tell your friends you have goals and you're trying to achieve something right now. And I tell everybody, they're not the right friends if they make you feel bad or have anything to say about you trying to achieve your goals. There's no reason why you should feel any amount of guilt for trying to be better. So that means you probably need to reassess your, I say it, I keep it blunt,
Uh-huh.
probably need to reassess who you're around, because if they have any negative response other than, I'm proud of you, I'll see you when you're ready, then they're probably not the right people for you. I have definitely seen that. I'm like, why are you giving them the cold shoulder for trying to get it together? Like,
Mm.
that's crazy to me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it says more about that friend than it does about you. Like
yeah.
for sure. And I think that's probably one of the biggest obstacles maybe of being on a budget is I wasn't on a budget before. I went ham every single weekend. I went out all the time. My hair and nails were always done. And now all of a sudden I'm having to suck in.
Mhm.
What do I do? Do I have to just hide under a rock in my apartment and never come out? Like, how can I still be social? Like, it's something that's come up with multiple of my clients of how to hang out or
Right.
go on dates without
Yeah.
spending a ton of money. And you have to be creative. I mean, you do.
Yeah.
You have to be creative. I was just having a conversation with a client of mine. She loves getting her nails done, and I'm like, look, let's talk about doing your own nails. You're very creative. You love to color, like as like a stress relief. We could do our own nails and get to kind of check both of those boxes. It might be a little bit more upfront as like an investment,
Right.
but how much, I think that's probably a big thing too, is sometimes I think people get really zoomed in on what they're spending monthly and they don't see like the yearly spend,
Right.
which it's like, well, but it's only, $50 every time I get my nails done. And I only do it like, once a month, which that's probably not true. But Okay, well that's fine and dandy, but let's zoom all the way out to a year. How much are you actually spending in a year? That money could go towards all of these other things,
Literally
right?
anything else. Right.
Yeah, like my husband was the one that really gave me the perspective because I never wanted like furniture
Mhm.
shopping. I never wanted to buy anything over a certain price. And he's like,
Right.
look, you can buy this and then have to replace it in 6 months. And then you're going to end up spending exactly what you would have spent if you would have bought the investment piece, which was higher on the other end, but it's going to last you for 10 years. And
Right.
to me, it was like here and now. I cannot even comprehend what it looks like in a year or 2 years and the longevity of whatever I'm spending money on. Is that something? I would only assume that's something that you probably talk about.
Mhm. It's more, I think that would be more so on the real estate front, like that delayed gratification kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're making it like with a home, you are making an investment and you're going to earn equity, but it's going to take, five
Yeah.
to like you have just teaching people that money mindset. That's a big thing I cover, showing people how to break out of that, being simple minded and teaching them how to open up and shift their focus to the bigger picture and thinking about the 1 year versus the month to month breakdown. So I do cover it just in a different way. Absolutely.
Mm,
Because we
I
have to
love it.
shift our focus. We got to keep, I just try to make sure everyone has a positive mindset when it comes to money because, like you said, it's something people are scared to talk about. They don't want to think about. So I want everyone to be like, this is a safe space. Let me think about this differently and let's see what I can achieve. So I'm the one who tells them, well, let's look at the monthly breakdown and show them, hey, this investment because I'm good for some DIY nails. I just got introduced to press-ons and I'm like, you're telling me I can save over $50 a month and they look the same in pictures, videos. I'm like, sounds good to
Girl,
me.
it's all about the prep though. You got to get the
Right.
prep right or else
Right.
they'll
Because if
pop
you don't use
off.
the white, it's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, I mean, but you're right. You're so right. Like there are other options and it doesn't have to be this one thing, but I do think that there is like this keeping up with the Joneses mentality even when we're young of like oh my gosh, this is so funny. We took our daughter to Disneyland for spring break and there was this mom and daughter in front of us and the daughter had to have been like maybe 10 to 12. Every article of clothing she had on was Lululemon.
Oh wow.
Her socks, I didn't even know there were Lululemon socks. Like literally everything she had on, a backpack, a pullover, her leggings, her socks, everything. And I'm thinking, because my daughter's 8, we haven't really gotten into that season, but I hear a lot of people saying, like, oh my God, my kids want this expensive stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I think it happens in every place of
Yeah.
life, of every chapter of like, but that we can't afford that. Like, and I how to teach your kids, and I know you're not in that season, but like how to get the mindset of I don't have to have those things or pretend that I have the money in order to buy those things, in order to be valuable, right? In order to be cool and accepted. But that I know from myself and people that I've seen their stories, like that's a really hard thing to come out of. I think it affects everybody for sure.
I'm trying to teach that. I have a 12-year-old sister. So I am trying to teach her. I told my mom, I said, we've got to teach her the value of a dollar for one, because she doesn't realize
I
like
love that.
the Chick-fil-A adds up, my friend. I'm trying to teach her, but the same thing, like the feeling valuable, especially with that age group, middle schoolers, don't get me started. They can be cruel. And I
Sure.
remember being a kid and I didn't think about those types of things. Like the cost of it. I was just thinking like, okay, everybody has these Stanley Cups and I don't, that wasn't what I had in middle school. But that's what's going on right now. It's like, okay, everybody
Yeah.
has these Stanley Cups and I don't have one. So now I want the next best, not realizing that's a $50 cup. So just little things like that, just trying to teach her those principles now while she's young, but saying it in a way that she actually gets, because of course she's not gonna comprehend me talking about the value of a dollar and things like, the way I say it. So I try to say it in a way that she'll understand and just show her like your personality is what's valuable, not these
Mm.
materialistic things. That's kind of where I go with her on that. So trying to teach
Uh,
all different age groups, Gen Z, people older than me, the young ones, there's a different way to say it and make it understandable for all age groups. Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, even in the way you're talking now, like the delivery of what you're saying is so easy to receive and to feel comforted by. So I can see how this is and can be really successful. And so I love that you're doing this. Talk to me about the budget boot camp. So what is this program? Tell me all about it.
So basically, I do monthly budget boot camps where I just kind of teach people the basics. Like if you have no clue what budgeting is, you have a low credit score and you want a credit boost, you want to buy a home one day, I kind of pack everything into a, 15 to 30-minute presentation and I teach people the foundation. Like the very first slide, I think I do the definition of a budget, the definition of credit, and I break down the basics of everything to give people a strong foundation and to also feel confident in money. Because I remember the very first slide is actually money mindset and telling people to break away from the negative connotations that come with money. One of the things I have people say, I make everybody get off of mute and tell me affirmations about money, but also we're not going to say, oh, I'm broke or I can't afford this. We're going to switch our mindset into how can I afford this? Abundance is coming to me. I can be successful. We're going to shift everything. So I break it down. I talk about the principles, the percentages for credit and everything. So that way you walk away with something. You learn something and have a new piece of knowledge to take with you to help you be more successful, whether it's in managing your money, boosting your credit score. I cover establishing a credit score because some people may be, 17, 18, or 30 and don't have one. And of course, I also give them the information and the foundation for wanting to buy a home someday, because I do feel like what you're doing now is going to determine how your home buying process goes. It may be something quick, easy, where it takes 60 days from contract to close, or because of low credit or a bad budget, it may take you a little bit longer. But if you know these principles now, we can get you in a home quick. So that's kind of how I set everything up. I break it down and I really touch on the basics.
God, I love that. And that was just so beautifully said too, because I think even when I was your age I think this is like all the time, most people, their ultimate goal is to own a home.
Right.
Right? Like they want a home. They want a place that is theirs, that they pay for. Like that is a huge measure of success, as it should be. It's a huge deal. It's a huge undertaking, and it's not easy.
Right.
And so the fact that you're building up to that being a goal or a bucket list item, whatever it may be, I think that's tangible. Like people can really attach to how am I going to be able to buy a home? Okay, well, we start today. We start right now. And I love what you said about kind of the affirmation aspect or the words that you choose to use. So I have the word abracadabra tattooed on my arm right here. It's one of my words of the year. It has been for like 2 years running. I always do like birthday mantras and birthday words. But abracadabra, like loosely translated, means with my words, I create. Right. So the way we speak about things, like it's got a very witchy connotation, which I love that too. But it's like, if I and I say this with clients too, like if you're saying it out loud, you've been thinking it for
Right.
who knows how long before you actually like verbalized it. And if
Right.
you change the way you're speaking about stuff, like in your example, not saying I'm broke,
Yeah.
because if you say I'm broke, then that's everything in your body feels that, right? And it's a very negative feeling. To switching the words that you're using, because the words you use have so much power. It's essentially manifesting, right? Putting out into the world how you feel about things, and the world reacts, right? So I love that you do that, because I do think people say stuff, and sometimes in a joking way of like, oh, I'm so broke. I can't do that. Well, they may say it funny, but it's still sending a message to the people around them and to them. Like it's just not talking about it that way. And I think even for me, looking back on how I've got to this point, that's probably one of the reasons why money makes me so uncomfortable. Now, granted, I was raised by a single mom.
Me
It
too.
was tight. It was, I was raised to be very strong woman, hear me roar. You don't need a
Right.
man, take care of yourself. Like I'll never forget, I was a senior in high school. My mom had bought me a Chevrolet Camaro, a red Chevrolet Camaro, and it was used. I mean, it was old even then. It was like a 97 and I got it in like I don't know, whenever I turned 16. And she like pulled it out in the front yard and put a for sale sign on it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What are you doing? And she's like, well, you have to go buy your own car. Like, I need to sell this while I can still get some money out of it. And I'm like, I thought this was my car, right?
Right.
So I was a senior in high school and had to go buy a car, like car loan and everything. It was a little Toyota Corolla. It was white, had a sunroof. Girl, loved that car.
Oh yeah.
Um, and I chose college based on I couldn't afford to I didn't my mom didn't have a ton of money. I couldn't pay rent or have a full-time job and focus on school. So I
Mhm.
chose college based on where can I drive because I have to work full time. And so I would do all my classes 2 days a week. I or excuse me, all my classes 2 days a week. I worked the other five. I was a bartender, terrible bartender. Turns out I hate drunk people. But I saved all of my money and I actually got married pretty young, but I remember moving in with my then boyfriend, who's now my husband. I was like, I can't pay rent until my car's paid off. Like I can't like mentally fathom having more than that bill. And
Right.
I don't, I'm curious if you can relate to this. I remember my mom, it was like the thermostat had to stay on a certain number, right? Because this is what she budgeted for. And I see you laughing, so I'm assuming you can probably relate to this, but I can remember if and I would turn it down all the time thinking I was being sneaky because girl, it stayed on 78 all the time. So I was
Right.
dying.
Oh,
I was just like, I'm just gonna tap it down a little bit. Just tap it. It was like one of the old school ones where you like have to slide it down. And she would come in, be bopping, highlight the electric bill of the overage because she's like, I don't, this is my proof that you mess with the thermostat because I know if I keep it at 78, this is what my bill is going to be based on my insulation and my house, like all this stuff. And she would highlight and be like, you can write me a check. And like I tell that story to some people and they're like, "Oh my God, that's terrible." And I'm like, "I love her for that
right.
because she set a rule or a boundary. I broke it, and those were the repercussions. I'm proud of her for actually making me do it." But like she would pay my car insurance, but if I wanted a cell phone, I had to pay for it. And so it was even though it was the nature of our life and where we were financially, it taught me so much. And even still, money made me really uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So I'm curious if you had a similar experience because I saw you laughing. So how can you relate to any of that?
I laughed because my mom is actually the opposite. I'm the
Okay.
one it's so funny because I'm the one who regulates the temperature because we live in a two-story home. So, there's two different thermostats, but we're working off of one unit. And it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy because although at the time I know you were like, like mom, I'm burning up. Like, can we just change it? I bet you some people don't have that conversation and they don't know that changing the temperature to certain degrees causes your bill to go up. They probably don't even compare that. They don't even know those things. So
Mm-hmm.
little did you know it was preparing you for adulthood. But I'm the one who actually enforces that rule around here because I'm like, this is gonna be expensive. And she'll tell me all the time, if I'm paying the bill, then I'm gonna be warm. I'm gonna be, and I'm like, okay, I'm upstairs dying, but okay, I've got three fans running, but okay. So it's funny you say that because she's the complete opposite. And I'm the one regulating things like I don't want your bill to be high, but I'm gonna let my girl do do what she
I
does.
love it. You're taking care of people all the time, whether you realize it or
Yeah.
not.
But it's definitely in other ways, regulating different things. Like there are some things where we're like, okay, this is the budget, this is what we sticking to. Don't do that. Like in the story, your parents tell you don't touch nothing, don't look at nothing. I see why they say that because when I go to places with my sister, she really is teaching me for parenthood. Like she's so expensive. Everything she picks up is $20. And I'm looking like I'm already buying for myself. So when I let my broke bestie tag along with me, I'm like I see why parents leave their kids at home and in the car because you're adding $50 to my already $50. I didn't plan to spend $100 today. So I definitely see it in other ways.
Well, and that's marketing for you too. Like they target these kids because they know the kids are going to ask for it. The parents are going to end up just, it's more than likely giving up and letting them have it. And then,
Right.
the retailer wins, right? So there's a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a thing with my daughter sometimes. I'm like, hands in your pocket the whole way through the store. Keep your hands in your pocket. Don't touch anything. I don't want to break and have to buy something. Like it's a whole thing.
Yes.
I love the budget boot camp because I feel like, so how does that work? Do you have them sign up per month or do they have like a membership where they get access to it every month? How does that work for signing up?
I have people sign up per month, so I'll advertise it and I just do a link in my scheduling app and with my scheduling website and I just have people register like that. And it's good because it covers all the bases. So if even if homeownership isn't your thing, if getting going on a trip is something you're saving up for or you want a car, like I cover all the things to where you plug in what your goal is and I'll help you get there. So people join when they need to. So I ask questions like, are you ready for this? Are you trying to achieve this? So I feel like the budget boot camp finds its people and the people find it and it helps them do what they need to do. And then from there, I let people follow up and then we'll do consultations and I'll personalize it. I'll help you do a budget. And that's just, a free 15-minute consultation because I want you to get your money together. Like I want you to have the understanding. So if you have questions after the budget boot camp sets the tone, and then after that we have the deeper conversation and we dive deep into what you're genuinely trying to achieve, and we go from there.
So good. So good. It's such a great outlet to have for people. I wanted to ask too, because this comes up with clients, like, do you have any apps that you recommend for easy budgeting platforms?
I definitely recommend Rocket Money. I love
Okay.
it. I use it for one, it can budget for you. You can put your things in, but it also just monitors your spending. So if you're someone, the first thing people will say is, okay, spreadsheet or budget sheet. I personally love a budget sheet, but if you don't have the time for that or the capacity to do it, it does it for you. It has everything in a nice little pie chart for you to show you you're spending 20, 250 on gas, you're spending 150 on groceries. This is what your bills, expenses, everything's looking like. You can set goals on there. So I have one. I'm going on a cruise next month. So I set a goal. You have the option to either do it random or you can set like every 2 weeks, take out this amount a month. So I did the random one and it just takes money out of my account to put towards this goal I set for a certain date. And I love it because I haven't felt it yet. The random amounts will be 9, 4, 5, occasional $20, but I never feel it. So it's very, very helpful to monitor your money and to see what's going on and cancel your subscriptions if you need to. Because a lot of times,
Okay.
we
Yes.
signed up for 30 things and don't realize it. They'll cancel subscriptions for you. So I love it.
Wow.
It's
Yeah, that was a great sell. They need to give you
no,
whatever
really,
it
we need
is.
to work
Yeah.
together. Like
Yeah.
let's sponsor me.
You
Yes.
need a what's it like a promo code of some kind
Yes.
because that's great. Like having something like work smarter, not harder, right? Like a spreadsheet gives me anxiety. My husband
Yes.
thrives with a
I can't do
spreadsheet. And
it.
so everyone's so different. And if I have to go in and manually insert stuff, I'm not going to keep up with that, right? So if
Right.
it's something that's doing all the work for you in the background, like AI can be crazy and, all the things, but it can be really useful as
Right.
well. So, again, working smart, not hard. So that was a great recommendation.
Yes.
Um, I love all of this, and honestly, I could just keep picking your brain. Is there anything else that you want to share about stuff that you're doing or presentations that you can do for groups? I know that was originally how I heard about you.
Yeah, I just go. I mean, the situation speaking at Auburn was a really big deal for me. They, reached out to me literally a day or two after I launched Fine Finances. Like I made the announcement post, and within that weekend, they reached out to me, and then I came back the next year. So it was just like, I do have some events coming out. I got invited to an event in June, a few days after my birthday, to speak at a brunch. I do the Love Yourself, Love Your Business event in September. One of my really close friends hosts it. So for people who have a business, but we also focus on self love, I cover finances there. So I just go where I'm called to be. That's kind of how it is. I really would love to do high schools and help the people in my area. I'm noticing now, like you said, you had a program, but you think it was an elective. I'm noticing schools are implementing some things and teaching people, but not everywhere has it. So
Mm-hmm.
I would love to tackle high schools and teach them some things. Working with younger kids, I'm about to start working with 10 and 12-year olds. So I'm really excited. So I just go wherever I'm called to be. And if I'm in the right, when you're in the right room, you know what I mean?
Right.
So the people will find me and I'll find them. So I don't know where I'll end up next, but I do have some things in store and I'm excited. I've been working on doing a credit program because credit is really everything. And I really think partnering, I've always done credit repair, but I've never really marketed it. Like, I
Mm.
have a really bad habit of like not following through on things. I have the skill set, I have the knowledge, I have the resources, but I'm focusing more on one thing than the other. And when I realized like credit is power. That's why I say credit is power, credit is king. So I really need to implement something. So yes, I gave you the budget tips, but let me help you fix your credit, delete some things, get rid of some late payments, and truly build the foundation so you can go and achieve whatever goal you have, whether it's the car, the vacation, the house, renting somewhere, anything like that. So hopefully here soon in April, I'll be dropping my credit repair program so I can really truly help some people and we can get those scores up so they can do whatever it is they need to do.
That's so exciting. I think you're such a hustler. Like I can hear it in your voice and your energy, and I love that. But also, it's so like your energy is very infectious, and so if I can only assume how much power you could pour into people just by being able to easily describe stuff to them. And
Mhm.
so hearing you talk about high schools and even like 10 to 12-year olds, like it's needed everywhere, right? And the younger the better, right? So like budgeting your allowance and your lemonade stands
Yeah.
and how also I think I remember some friends of ours. I remember them telling us a story. They had all boys, and it was getting to the chapter of their lives where they were asking for like all these extracurricular activities that so like soccer for instance, you had to have the cleats and you had to have the uniforms and you had
Oh
to
yeah.
travel to the games, and so they kept asking for all this stuff and didn't understand why their parents were saying no and getting really frustrated, and so the parents took it upon themselves to basically create a family budget on a huge whiteboard. They put it in their kitchen or living room, wherever. It was like, look, this is how much everything costs that
Mm-hmm.
mom and dad have to pay for, just like off the top, right? Just to
Right.
live where we live and to eat food and to, whatever. Then you add in all of the sports and all of the birthday gifts and all of these things, and like realize this is why we have to say no, or this is why we have to limit how many things you can do. And when they shared that story, I've reshared that multiple times because I feel like as parents, a lot of the times we're trying to protect our kids. We don't want them to know that there's trouble or that there is any sort of strain. And to me, that's a huge disservice. So, like my childhood, for instance, I was never under any disillusion that money was tight. And it
Right.
made me very respectful of what I asked for and how I spent and the value of a dollar, because my mom was like, look, this is what it is, right? And so I think hearing their story and just putting it out on paper, like I'm going to arm you with the knowledge so that I'm not just telling you no for no reason. So when I
Right.
hear you talk about 10 to 12-year-olds, I'm like, yes, oh my gosh, their parents would benefit from that for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but also at that age, you're building the platform for how the rest of your life is going to go. Like that 6 to 12, like that age range is like foundation building. So I
Right.
love that that's your passion. And even just like hearing you and talking to you, even over Zoom like this, like you're gonna be amazing at it. You already are. So that's great. Thank you for sharing all of that. Um, so I told you before we started recording, I was gonna ask you about your hype list, and I'll give you a little bit of backstory. So I named it the Hype Squad. because the hype list was an assignment I would give to clients of ways to celebrate their achievements and obstacles so that when they're feeling really low, they can go back and be like, oh, I did that. Like
Right.
I made it over that hill. I can conquer this.
Mm.
And in the process of coming up with this podcast idea, the idea of being full of yourself or bragging was is still cringy, right? Like I was interviewing a very successful physician, female physician in Atlanta yesterday, and she like physically cringed when I asked her to brag about herself. And so I pointed it out after the fact. I'm like, look, this woman, by all accounts, is
Right.
the epitome of goals,
Right.
right? She is successful, she is professional, she looks like the whole package, and even she hesitates to brag about herself. Like none of us are immune to it. So, with that spirit, knowing the purpose behind it, I want you to brag about something for yourself and let us be hyped for you.
Okay. Am I listing things or am I saying one specific thing?
Just give me one. I mean, if you can think of several, feel free to share it. I would love it. But give me what you got.
I'm trying to think. Okay. Look, now I'm like, what have I done?
See, this is what happens. I know.
It just makes you kind of reflect and think, like, okay, what have I done? Hmm. I think, girl, something. Okay, I'm hyping myself up. I mean, honestly, just constantly showing up is big to me. Like there are a lot of reasons and a lot of things you could say on why you should give up or why you shouldn't keep trying. Money gets tight, things are hard, marketing and paying for all these things doesn't come out of thin air, but I just know that I was called and I was put on this earth to help people. That's what I'm realizing, and I'm going to do it by any means possible. So no matter how it's rewarding me financially or anything, it makes me feel good to help people. So honestly, just being a resource for people. I'm hyped with myself and I'm proud of myself because I help people and I do it with purpose and intention. Like I'm genuine with everything that I do. And that's why I started doing everything that I'm doing because I genuinely want to help people. And I think that makes me a good person and I think I'm doing some good in the world. So I think that's my reason. Just everything that I'm doing, the foundation that I'm building is to fulfill my purpose, but I love that I'm helping people. I think, you know, God's proud of me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And even though it can be a little confronting for someone to ask you, which is why I told you before we start recording, I always like set the stage because I don't want to totally catch you off guard. But I also want it to be organic because I think there's so much realness in that moment of like, oh crap. And I compared this in the episode we did yesterday of like, to me, it's very similar to like, what are your hobbies?
Right.
Am I supposed to have hobbies? Or tell me about yourself, right? Like, oh, no, like give me some specific questions and I'll tell. Like it
Yeah.
can be really difficult to have these questions and kind of be put on the spot. So I really appreciate you taking one for the team for me and like saying the things. But also I hope that it plants a seed of some kind for you to kind of keep that energy flowing for yourself of like,
Yeah.
what are the things that I'm proud of? Because it can be really simple, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm proud that I followed up and actually stepped out of my comfort zone and did a podcast, right?
Right.
Or I am putting myself out there and standing up in front of strangers and like letting my passion kind of shine through. I think, sometimes the simpler the better. And it can also be a really cool like gratitude practice of like every day, what do I want to brag about? Like one thing to brag about per day to yourself in the mirror. Like you don't even have to say it to other people. But what I do find is that when you do say it in front of other people, it's almost like you give them permission to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So it's very common that like I'm not going to brag at lunch with my girlfriends because they're going to think I'm full of myself. Right. Versus I'm going to sit here and talk about how broke I am and how everything's going terribly
Oh, no,
and
I'll relate on
the
that.
world hates me. And then it's
Yeah.
like, oh, let's find common ground. let's try to find common ground with bragging, right?
Yep.
Like talking highly and building ourselves up. So, um, that was a
Yeah.
soapbox, a tangent of sorts that I just got on. But thank you for going with me. Thank you for coming and doing this. I'm so grateful to have met you and for you to give me your time. And I'll put all the ways for people to find you and follow you on all the different platforms that you're on. And yeah, you're welcome back anytime. Anytime you want to come talk about something you're promoting. So thanks, Nya. I appreciate it. Thanks everyone for listening and getting hyped with us today. And be kind to yourselves today and every day.